Oh, come on, you can do better than that. So, I think we're here for this small little show called Legends of Tomorrow. Anyone heard of it? So, I am Jess HD. When I'm not fanning out over amazing queer content, I am the head of creative development and creator development at YouTube Space LA. But if you know about me, you don't really want to hear about me, let me introduce these amazing two awesome women that are standing behind the stage, Caity, Lotz, and Maisie.
How amazing was that video? I love it. Well done, Stan.
We can hold them right here. Oh!
There we go.
Amazing artist named Jordan created Vivo, her business on the octopus, and she was so nice to let us bring him on stage because why not? So thank you. What does it feel like to be here? I mean, what does it feel like to be in a room like this?
It's amazing. Hi, everyone. I just got here, so I'm fresh off the boat right now. But so far, everyone has been super sweet and amazing.
Yeah, it's just such incredible energy having so many incredible people in space together. So thank you all for coming. Seriously, it's amazing.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I would love to know, you both have amazing backgrounds, by the way. First of all, Maisie, you have an anthropology degree from Oxford University. You're not only, kick-ass, you're also brilliant. Like, that's awesome. I'd love to know, and then, can you talk about your background? Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga, Avril Lavigne, you were in a girl band, like, you were on Mad Men. How did your backgrounds from there, how did you get into Legends? And we know about Arrow, yes, but I'd love to talk a little bit about the audition process and what it was like. I mean, because Legends is such a unique show, so was it like, oh, how do you feel about weapons and wearing Viking helmets?
Well, for me, I was a martial artist before I was even an actor. I was a dancer, and then did martial arts, and then kind of was a singer. I'm not very good. And so the movement and the action part of it, I think that's what helped me land the job, actually, hopefully. But when I auditioned, they always do like made up characters, so you don't really know what you're auditioning for. And it was like small part, 3 episodes on Arrow for, I think her name was Lisa or something like that. And I went into audition, and actually after the audition, I got a call, and they're like, it's not going forward, you're not really CWE. Doesn't really fit our network.
Clearly they didn't know what they were talking about.
And I was like, cool, because I don't want to be on that show anyways. And then it was like 2 weeks later, I got a call, and they're like, we need you to come in and do a chemistry read to Stephen Amell. I was like, okay. And then I was actually in the parking lot early, like, doing my makeup, getting ready in my car. And then, like Stephen Amell's like, brah, brah, brah. I was like, hey! And I was like, oh, hi! And we started talking in the parking lot, and he was like, I'm a huge fan of Mad Men. And I was like, oh, this is going to go good. And we went in, it went great, and then it was another long process. And I'm like, this is 3 episodes. Like, why do you guys care so much? Because it was back and forth of whether you got it or not. And then when I finally got the job, they brought me in, and they're like, you're actually going to be playing Laurel Lance's long lost dead sister, and the first version of the Black Canary. And I was like, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, same with me. I was playing like a cop, I thought, a cop for 1 episode. I had no idea about asking enough what Legends of Tomorrow was. I just got off the plane from London, went into this meeting, completely jet lagged. They were like, okay, do this, do it in American, okay, now do it in British. And then there were more and more people coming into the room, and eventually there was about 15 people in the room with me, and I was just crying. The scene was like, my partner just died, and I was sobbing on the floor in British and then American. And I turned up, and I was wearing like black skinny jeans, classically, and like a white beater, vest top thing. And everyone else in the room was dressed up in high heels and like pencil skirts in the audition room. And their hair done and everything, their makeup, they all knew each other, and I was like, well, I've blown this or whatever. So I left, and then the next day I got a call, and they were like, actually, you're going to be the vixen. I was like, great. Still jet lagged, like awesome, didn't know what that meant. You're moving to Vancouver, cool, alright. And then we actually met for the first time at Comic-Con. The first time I met all the cast was at Comic-Con. It was awesome, and the rest is history.
Well, we are so glad for that history because it's been an amazing 3 seasons. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. This room is massive. Thank you. What I love about Legends of Tomorrow is that you guys reboot every season. I feel like every season we're watching a slightly different show, a slightly different cast of characters. And nothing is impossible in this world. Like, I mean, Bebo, for example. Obama was just on an episode. They're, a 3-ton gorilla. I'm P.T. Barnum. Like, there's just nothing that's impossible. I'd love to know from you guys, what's been your favorite so far to shoot? I have my own favorite episodes, but I'd love to know from you guys, what has been the best one to shoot? Like, what's been your most favorite adventure so far?
I mean, for me, it has to be The Pirate. I've been bugging the writers to just somehow make an aberration where she can just always see the Captain Dewey. But yeah,
Step off my captain business.
Yeah, that was my favorite by far. And the sword fights and everything. I must also say, like, Caity does the most of her own stunts out of anyone, so it's amazing. Every time you see it, she's done like 80%.
My favorite episode is. They all kind of like blur together and I forget what happens, but I'll second that I would love to see you as Pirate G-Way. Like,
Captain.
Oh, Pirate. I just downgraded you subconsciously.
Well, you've got a room full of people that can put it out in the Twitterverse and make it happen, so
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
They really listen to you guys. Like the fact that Bebo might maybe one day make a return and visit. But yeah, that's because you guys are so vocal about it. So do keep like putting out there what you want to see, and hopefully the writers will pick up on it.
Well, clearly we need some more pirates. So get to work, people. Speaking of stunts, you are a real life superhero, by the way. My 4-year-old thinks you are. I've like shown her the behind the scenes footage. How is it doing your own stunts? Like, how is it fun? Is it terrifying? I mean, you have an amazing background in martial arts. Is it something that makes you feel even closer to this role because you get to do that?
For sure. For me, it's really natural because I didn't start acting until I was like 21. I was a dancer, and then I was doing martial arts. Movement and expression in that way was always my main focus. So it feels very natural to me. Even like sometimes I get on a stage and I'm like, God, I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's cool to be able to combine those two things together, and not to take away at all from our stunt people who are fantastic. I mean, the amount of work that goes into getting a fight scene, choreographing it, rehearsing it, making it safe, putting on its feet, using the space, the weapons, and all the things that go into it are huge. And I do a lot of my own stunts, but I would never be able to do that if it wasn't like for the hard work of our stunt team and my stunt double Mitra, who's always there making sure everything is safe for me. She's the one who's practicing, like spending hours getting the fight scene ready so then she could teach it to me and I can do it. So their work is definitely important. And then there's other times where they're like, okay, and then, all of these pipes are gonna fall on your head and you fall on your face. And I'm like, sounds like a job for Mitra. So they do all the, like, I kind of will cherry pick and I'll be like, ooh, fight scene, yes, love it. Oh, getting hit in the face, Misha! She's awesome.
Maybe that makes sense. Maisie, I'd love to know from you, how has your training, like, have you stepped it up a notch? Because you guys do so much physical fighting on camera, like, you know, you learn more about weapons, more about stunt work.
I mean, I love it. I find it fascinating, like you're saying, about the movement and the flow. And certainly with Vixen, a lot of it is whatever animal I'm using, we try and incorporate elements of that animal into the specific, I'm dyslexic, specific fight. So it's been a huge learning curve. Also, the fight's always left at the end, so it's always 4 a.m. on a Friday in the pouring rain. And they're like, all right, and now we're going to do 4 hours of fighting. So learning to just be reactive and still stay safe. But the fight team are incredible, and yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without them.
I love that you mentioned your totem, because you just gave me the perfect segue. Loving that out.
That's literally what it looks like, because everything else is post-effects. So a lot of bullying on set from that.
I noticed that they try not to repeat the animals too much. You ever think we'll find a day when they just run out of animals and like an emu pops out?
More like they run out of budget. I gorilla a lot, because they're like, we already did the VFX budget and we have that set in the computers.
Yeah, you start to see it towards the end of the season, I'm guessing, the repeat of the animals. But do you have a favorite animal that has popped out of your totem?
I love the T-Rex, just because that was the first time we used it to actually communicate and not to fight. And I think that was a really tender, wonderful moment.
You wouldn't expect someone to say tender and wonderful moment. I love that was it. Yeah, totally. Tender and T-Rex, they go hand in hand.
But I think that's probably my favorite. Also the ones where I can fly. We do a lot of amazing wire work, but they'll put up a crane in whatever building or outside we're at, tie my wonderful stunt double to the wire, and literally you've got two men and they just yank the wire down the end and she goes flying up in the air. So that's cool to watch.
With your feet safely on the ground, right? Awesome. So I'd love to talk, it's an amazing ensemble cast. I think it's very rare I'm a huge superhero nerd. I love watching tons of superhero shows. What I love most about Legends is it is not your typical ensemble cast. We have women of color, we have a multitude of females that are in atypical roles. In addition to Sarah, Muslim character. Talk to me about how it's been to be on that kind of ensemble versus this, typical universe where it's like you're the token or you're the one female and you get saved by the male, or you're kind of in the background like in an ensemble versus like taking the lead.
It's really interesting because our cast is actually really close, and each one of us is so different. I mean, ranging from, like when we had Victor Garber, who was 34, and like the wide range of ages, and like each one of us is in a different point of our life too. Like people have kids or families or not, or just early 20s, and each one of us is completely different. And you would think that it would make us not get along because we wouldn't have as much in common, but for some reason it's brought us all closer, and it's represented in each one of our characters. Like, none of our characters are the same. Like, we're not like a traditional, a lot of the CW shows, it's like young, beautiful, like 19, 24.
I really do believe they have a coding machine somewhere in the like depths of valves of the CW, and they just keep popping out.
They're like high cheekbones,
right?
Which is really cool. I love that about us, and I think that it shows on screen that we have a lot of fun together, and that we really do love each other. So it's cool.
Also, the fact that every episode we sort of pair up in different pairs, I think that really helps bring out other sides of each of the characters. I really like the Zari and Mick that just happened. Really cool, because we haven't seen that before. So I think that's a lovely little element we can do.
And you guys have such amazing chemistry. It's really rare to see an entire cast that can pair up in random pairs and all play off of each other so nicely. So kudos. Speaking of chemistry, and anyone have an idea where I'm going? Ava Lance? Can we talk? so let's talk. Aliens. Season 3. Did you know where you were going with? Like when Ava was introduced and the amazing Jess came on stage. Did you know where you guys were going to end up? Did you know the arc that you were about to partake in?
No, I kind of, in the beginning, and I was like, ooh, Sarah's relationships don't last long. My deal faded. I'm sorry, Jess McCallan. But even so I went in and I did chemistry reads when they were reading for that role. And I think she was actually the first. And I remember she was super tall. And I was like, she's gonna make me look short. And then we started acting, and in every one of the scenes, she was like, this bureaucrat, and was supposed to be pretty infuriating to Sarah. And while we were doing the auditions, and she would be ad-libbing, and we'd finish the scene, and she was like, that's all, bye. And I literally walked out, and I was like, this bitch. And she was so good, and we read with a bunch of other people. Of course, there was like a tall, beautiful model character. I was like, well, Sarah would definitely have sex with her. That would definitely happen. And all these different people, but nobody was infuriating as Jess McCallan. And I was like, she's the one. I know you guys don't care what I think, but she is the one. I knew, just from the beginning, when we test read together, that I was like, there's so much happening here. It's so fun to act with her. She makes me feel so many things. It'll be great. And
well, it shows on screen. So I think what I love about it most is that you both are three-dimensional characters. And that's very rare to see, especially with a queer couple, and you're not the stereotypical, the chipper one and the grumpy one, or the brunette and the blonde. You both are strong, powerful females, both tall, both blonde, both...
I'm short, but thank you.
You both look tall on screen, and you both...
I photographed tall.
You can't have them take charge, and that is rare to see with a queer couple. I'd love to know, I know we can't say anything about where we're going for the finale, but will we have our heart broken even more? Because the last episode was, oh my god, I think my 4-year-old literally came up to me afterward and goes, Mama, what's wrong? I was like, no!
Yeah, me too. I put myself out there. Sarah said, I love you.
Oh my god.
And she portals away.
It's a true testament to not only you as an actress, but the writing on the show is phenomenal. Yes.
Is that one of our writers? No, we do have a writer here.
Yeah, Daphne.
Daphne, are you here? Stand up.
Stand up, come on. You recognize
Daphne, I thought that was you cheering for yourself, but that's okay, testament to your guys' writing.
It really is, and I will say that it is so well written, that relationship and that tension and that angst, but it's positive, still positive representation. So I'd love to know from your perspective, what does it mean to play that role? And I mean, you're sitting in a crowd of people that clamor for it because we are so starved for representation on screen.
I'm like, I'm kind of a little emotional. It really is the most important aspect of Sarah. When the reason that we do this stuff, I mean, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. You get shipped up to Vancouver. You're there for 8 months. You're away from all your family, your friends. You're working 16-hour days in the freezing snow. It's not easy. These shows are not easy. And when I come to things like this, or even, online on Twitter and Instagram, hearing how important it is for people to have something like this is huge. I can't count how many girls have said to me, like I came out to my parents as bi or as lesbian because Sarah helped me, because it made me feel safe, and it made me like know that this is normal and that it's okay, and it gives me hope that other people will be able to see that and understand it and accept it. And so being able to play this character in such a well-written way, where it doesn't make it a big deal, doesn't need to be explained, it is tremendous. I wouldn't have been able to do this without the writers, for sure. And it really, like, that's Sarah's superpower, like, really.
I'd love to also talk about representation, and your storyline this season, by the way, is phenomenal. I mean, a woman of color, and the rich storyline. What was it like to portray that this year? Did you know going into season 3 that you would have this amazing storyline with your granddaughter and everything that was going on?
No, I mean, sometimes we get the episodes, the night before. So it's always, it's fantastic, and you're reading through them, and you're going on the journey, and it makes it fresh, and your reactions are real, genuine reactions. Playing myself age 80 was a surreal experience.
You look great in Caity, by the way.
Thank you.
You nailed it. Like,
thank you.
The walking, and the, like, I felt it. I was like, ooh, she's tired. It was a long time.
I remember walking onto the set, and everyone just looked at me and burst out laughing. Nick really struggled in all our scenes together. But yeah, so it's I've lived many lives, it feels like, and that's an incredible experience to be able to go places that I myself as Maisie haven't been yet, and to be able to be a representative and to diversify the screens is the biggest honor that I could ever have, and it's an incredible responsibility, and I'm so proud to be able to do that and be a part of this. It's so important just to be able to see people who you can relate to on screen, and in all, like, same with Sarah, it's so important, and I think the CW at the moment is doing a really good job of helping move that forward. But yeah, Maya's really been through the mill this season.
Right? Like,
yeah,
I hope she gets a little bit of a
coaster.
break in season 4, that it's not like such an emotional, and it's an amazing journey, but hopefully she gets to breathe a little bit and have, like...
Having Kwaso was amazing, I think, seeing that relationship, and Tracy's incredible.
Representation matters, and I am so thankful for Legends of Tomorrow and the CW in general, because I do think they're leading the way with representation for all of us to see ourselves on screen. I would love to turn it over, now I can talk to you guys for hours, but there's a room full of people with amazing questions, so can you start lining up? Yes?
Speaking of representation, that was one thing. Black Panther.
It just surpassed Titanic.
Third biggest in history. Third American movie, like, in history.
So if anyone questions whether representation matters and we will show up for movies, that is a prime shining example. So keep supporting. Like, that's the biggest thing I would tell anyone is they're looking at Twitter, they're looking at social. Keep supporting the representation that you see and that you love, because we need more of it.
And also, like, our writers' room is just as diverse as our screen. Like, we need more writers, we need more directors, we need everyone at every stage of the process to be more diverse. So you guys can be a part of that as well. It's really amazing.
I think Ebo himself showed up.
Ebo!
Thank you very much for being here, especially Caity. We knew that you had to fly in from C2E2. So in the last episode, Captain Lance went back to get some advice from a very awesome young Barry. So I was wondering if, the both of you were to go back in the time to get advice from someone in history, who would it be?
Maya Angelou, definitely.
I'd probably hit up Cleopatra and ask for some seduction techniques.
I can also answer it another way.
Hi. My question is for Caity. I've seen that Stefano has gone on to American Ninja Warrior.
do it. And I asked him, and I was like, so what's the deal, like celebrity ninja warrior? And he's like, yeah, they make it easier for you. I'll do it.
Thank you.
Hi, you guys are amazing. So my question for Maisie, this season we got to see you like working with your mom, and I was just wondering like, what's that like for you?
It was incredible because my mom, she's an actress, and she was basically the reason why I fell in love with the stage. So I grew up watching her on stage. I grew up in dressing rooms and rehearsal rooms, just in awe. And that was actually the first time we've ever worked together. So I was so nervous. I was like, I fucking felt like a child again. But it was the most incredible experience, especially that first scene, where she's giving me such amazing advice. You know, run like a stallion. And that's a moment I will treasure forever, definitely.
Thank you.
So cool.
It's pretty awesome. I found the writers. They just called me up and they were like, so your mom, right? She's an actress, isn't she? How would you feel about it? And, how wonderful that they do that. Having Courtney on, who's married. So it's just amazing that they do that, bringing the families onto the screen.
My dad was in an episode of Arrow, the Arrow crossover episode.
Oh my god.
Though he's not an actor. But he was bartender Joe, Bam Bam, who is a big director on Arrow. He was like, we'll put your dad in. He's bartender Joe. And he hands Caity Cassidy and I drinks.
So he does nothing.
I was like, Dad, don't look in the camera. Don't look in the camera. He nailed it.
I love both of your characters and the representation you bring, but I was wondering about one specific line that Ava said, that Sarah is not a one-woman type of woman, because outside of the context of the show, there's this larger cultural context in which bisexuals are viewed as promiscuous and cheaters. And so I was wondering, how do you think Sarah would react to that line, and are you yourself aware of the stereotypes there are about bisexuals?
When did she say that? Who did she say that to?
It was to John Constantine.
What did she say?
That Sarah's not a one-woman woman.
So I think that came from her insecurity, I would imagine. I don't know, which episode was it?
Necromancing the Stone, I believe that's 3:15.
Oh, so were we still together? Were we still together at that point? Called her my girlfriend. Yeah, but she obviously was insecure about being able to I don't think Sarah represents bisexual people are so free and with everyone that you can't tie them down. I think it was more that Jess's character Ava felt like she didn't know how much she had Sarah. It's such the infancy of the relationship that it's hard to feel like, okay, this is secure and I have you and we're solid. And we do a lot of things that protect ourselves, and I think you see that with Sarah too, when then she breaks up with Ava. But yeah, I mean, the stereotype that okay, it seems like it doesn't really make sense, but oh look, you, instead of having options for 50% of the population, you have options for 100% of the population, which makes you a person who sleeps around. Okay, really? Is that really what we think? So I definitely don't think that's a fair assumption of anyone to make.
Thank you.
So first I want to say we both on the show. And I want to say that I love how Sarah's fans, they don't really most of them don't really argue over ships. Sarah, Ava, and hookups in between. And so personally, I ship both. But I was wondering because way back when, Katrina and you have both said, or maybe it was just Katrina, we talked about it. The writers have talked about getting into Sarah's backstory, and now that we have a season 4, I feel like Sarah can still be with Ava, and we can still get into Sarah's backstory in the flashback episode, where Sarah tells it through that. So
I think you should join the writers' room.
So I was wondering if there have been talks about that, or if you could tell them about that, or
Okay, gonna say, she's, oh, the writer's is over there, and she's totally give her notes.
And like, you know, Katrina's like, I'm sure she'd be down if she was busy.
I mean, first of all, just the idea that one of our writers is here. Does that not say to you guys how important representation is? It really is. Like, our writers, like, we're all a part of the community. Like, not trying to just feed people things and do things to appease people. It's like, we're a part of this, and like, it's the same with our writers. The stuff that I do wish sometimes that the fandom can understand is it's not so simple as you get to write whatever you want and it happens. The same with like a lot of people were upset about Sarah and Alex, you know, being together, and they're like, Samverse forever. There's so many factors that go into an actor's availability. So it's stuff sometimes where like, we might all love Jess. Jess could have not come back if she didn't want to be on the show for whatever reason. Family, friends, finances, like there could be 1,000 reasons that have nothing to do with trying to get at and destroy the representation that's been created. There's so many reasons, and same with like, you know, Alex's girlfriend. Who knows why they had to break up? Most likely it was some logistical reason that made it impossible. Katrina is a series regular on another show, which makes it, a lot of times our contracts, I don't know what hers is specifically, but you get limited. You cannot be a series regular on another show. Sometimes you can do 3 reoccurring episodes on a TV show, but nothing more. So there's so many different logistics to go into why things happen the way they do. Thank you.
Hi Caity, hi Maisie, love you both. I wanted to know what time period you each would want to visit that the legends have not gone yet, and why.
Good question, by the way.
I want to go to the Amazon. I feel like there's so many incredible, like the Mayans, or go to like the Aztecs and go really back in history to the beginning of civilization. There's the anthropologist, archaeologist coming up.
It would be awesome, by the way.
Like,
Would you be pirate?
yeah, always. That's like my go-to now.
You'd be like Amazonian queen.
Again, writers in the room, take notes. That would, oh my god, that'd be awesome. If you both could play queens, by the way. They are queens. They are queens.
I would love to, we kind of already did ancient Egypt, but only with like the hawk people. I didn't get to go there, so maybe that just goes back to me like being like, I want to meet Cleopatra.
Do you guys like make a list of like, I'd like to meet this person in history and that person in history and just slip it under the writer's room?
Yeah, we definitely do. We're like, hey.
Thank you. You're in LA and not in Vancouver with us.
Thank you so much. Hi, this question is for Caity, from Agent Sarah to Captain Sarah. Some of my friends say that I need to decide whether I want to be the dominant person in a relationship, but Ava Lance gives me hope that 2 women can be equally dominant in a relationship. So like, just think about the fight scene and like kiss scene. Pretty good. So what positive things and challenges do you think Ava Lance will experience next season as a captain and a director?
Well, to say something too about like someone having to pick someone has to be the dominant and someone has to be the submissive, or the one has to be the feminine and one has to be a masculine energy, which is actually something Maisie and I talked about before. And we both think like it's really important, like whenever you try to define something and you stick it in the box, it's like it's not gonna work. Like life is fluid, things are fluid.
I think that, you know, we don't have to try and conform to the heteronorm, and we can just explore and be whatever you want to be. And also, I think so often, personally, in my relationship, things come up and you'll be like, oh, you know, in this area I am more submissive, in this area I am more dominant, and that's beautiful. It's like an interwoven thing. And yeah, don't let anyone put you in a box. It's rubbish. It doesn't work.
I don't remember what the last part of the question was, but I think it was something like Ava Lance. Yeah, I think we all know Jess McCallum is coming back next season.
You guys were getting a season 4, but then that was a cherry on top.
And I think that shows that there will be a continuation of that relationship in some kind, and you'll have to watch to find out, see what it is.
Hi, this question's for Caity. I run a website called Let's Watch TV. We're a database of queer TV characters and the shows they're on. Sarah Lance has been played by 2 different actors. Been on 4 different shows in the role of main, recurring, and guest. You die and come to life multiple times, making you the most complicated queer character in the history of television. Which has pushed us to write some intense code for this website. I just wanted to know if that has were you aware of that fact, and has that had any influence in the way you have to play this character, since you kind of run throughout the entire Arrowverse?
No, it hasn't influenced the way that I play it. I think it's like, it's the same with like, you know, us in our lives, but not trying to put ourselves in boxes or feel like we have to fit into something. It's like just being truthful in the moment for where you are and who you are. I didn't really think about it, but yeah, she is a pretty complicated character.
We've done tech talks on like different major web development conferences. Just wanted to let you know.
Good. I like that.
All right, I think we have time for one more question.
So I am a middle school English teacher here in Vegas, and I work with a lot of queer youth. And so I was wondering if you have any advice for like queer youth, more specifically the younger generation, because that's like a huge like fusion area during that situation.
Thank you. You're welcome to extremely well. Thank you for doing what you do. My advice is, it gets easier. I think that's one of the things that I know when I was younger and, you know, dealing with sexuality and everything is, it can be so consuming, especially, I find finding your community can take a while, and especially when you're young and you're in a structured system like school, it can be much harder to reach out to people who you actually associate with, but there are people out there to always remember, like, just speak, like, communication is the best way, and having people like you is so important in this process. But just trusting that it's going to be okay, and trusting in yourself, and just being true to yourself. Because if you're true to yourself, at the end of the day, you're untouchable. At the end of the day, if you love yourself, in the words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And it's so true.
I think, one, middle school is already hard enough. That's a tough age. But the thing about it, like, this is such an interesting time, and we've seen so many developments for, you know, LGBTQ rights and movement, and everybody who's in the community now, be it older, young, everyone is a warrior for the cause, whether they like it or not, which is difficult, I think, because it's not like you can choose where it's like, I'm going to go to that women's march and support that cause. It's like you are a living, breathing warrior for the cause no matter what you do. And everybody that's alive today, and I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, older people who have kind of seen such a dramatic growth of acceptance and seeing characters like this on TV, and it's still continuing. And as difficult as that might be, it's also like, you're an effing warrior. And like, in, you know, 30 years time, like, you're gonna be the one who helped, like, pave the way for the next person in middle school to make it a little bit easier on their life, a little bit more acceptance. And as hard as it might be sometimes, it's a really beautiful responsibility.
Alright, so before we go, I know you can't talk the season finale as much as all of us, and we're dying to know what happens, and we will find out shortly. But I would ask, in one word, what would you use to describe it? Or sound effect.
I've had a bunch of words on my head. I was like, no, spoiler, no, spoiler.
Well, we know we go to the Wild West, and by the way, the music video was awesome. Yay, thank you. I mean, who doesn't love Will Smith's Wild Wild West?
Yeah,
Like, right? Cult classic. But yeah, I love it. And that's not a spoiler. But one word. Sorry to stump you.
Impossible.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The impossible happens.
Like T-Rex Impossible that we saw last year.
Weirder. Much weirder.
That's awesome. Now you make me really want to fast forward to go watch it.
In my head, I'm like, oh no, that's a spoiler. I can't hear anything. I know people are gonna love it. It's like greatest hits.
Ooh. Now you got me. That's 2 words, but I'll give it to you. Like greatest hits and impossible. Like,
It's fun. You guys will like it.
awesome. I will ask one more quick question before we get off stage. Is there any hints on where we will be going in season 4?
I would just say, you've all seen Daphne's face. Go hound her with all of your eyes.